So how can one story, a classic down-and-dirty tale of lust and murder, be told in two totally different ways? That's what we're digging into today. We're looking at James M. Cain's infamous novel, The Postman Always Rings Twice, and its two iconic film adaptations, each one a perfect time capsule of the era it came from. You know, this quote from a fan discussion just nails it, doesn't it? It's the simplest, most powerful formula you can imagine, and that raw, gritty appeal is exactly why filmmakers just can't leave this story alone. It's got this dark, magnetic energy to it.
All right, so here's the game plan. First, we'll touch on the scandalous novel that started it all. Then we'll get into the classic 1946 film and how it had to play by Hollywood's super strict moral rules. After that, we're jumping ahead to the much more explicit 1981 remake, comparing the two leading ladies, and wrapping up with why these differences are so fascinating.
So it all starts right here, with this book from 1934. And let me tell you, this was not just another crime novel. It was an absolute sensation. We're talking about a book so steamy and violent that it actually got banned in Boston when it came out. It was pushing all the buttons.
So picture this. A drifter named Frank walks into a dusty roadside diner. He lays eyes on Cora, the young, beautiful wife of the much older owner, Nick. Sparks fly, and they kick off this incredibly intense, even sadomasochistic affair. Soon, they're plotting to murder Nick so they can have the diner and each other all to themselves. But even when they finally pull it off, their dream life turns into a nightmare of suspicion and guilt. Now, imagine you're a filmmaker in the 1940s. How in the world do you get that story onto the big screen?
Well, let's see how they did it. We're jumping into the first major American adaptation from 1946. This version had to clear a massive hurdle, a really rigid system of censorship that controlled everything. And that hurdle was the infamous Hays Code. Now, this wasn't government law or anything. This was Hollywood policing itself. It was a set of moral guidelines that basically dictated what you could and couldn't show, from crime and passion to even how long a kiss could last. The whole point was to make sure movies promoted, correct standards of life.
So just think about the creative handcuffs here. The rules were simple. Crime never pays. Adultery can't look fun or glamorous. No graphic violence. Marriage is sacred. And most importantly, if a character commits a sin, they absolutely have to be punished for it by the end. The director, Tay Garnett, had to get seriously clever just to hint at the novel's dark themes.
And this is where the genius comes in. Check out Lana Turner's iconic entrance as Cora. A tube of lipstick rolls across the floor. The camera doesn't show you anything explicit, it just follows that lipstick, pans up her legs, and bam, we meet this magnetic, dangerous woman. It's all done through suggestion. It's pure erotic tension without breaking a single rule. Just brilliant filmmaking.
Okay, now let's hit the fast-forward button. We're jumping 35 years into the future. The Hays Code is a distant memory, and we are deep in the new Hollywood era. Filmmakers can finally be raw, gritty, and brutally honest. And that brings us to the 1981 remake. And the difference, it hits you right in the face from the very first scene. Look at how Cora is introduced. In 46, Lana Turner is this glamorous vision in white, practically glowing. In 81, we see Jessica Lange from the back first, wearing an apron, working away in a dingy kitchen. The glamour is completely gone, replaced with this stark, everyday realism. And despite having superstars like Jack Nicholson and Jessica Lange, this new version was incredibly divisive. Even the great Roger Ebert was torn. He said it was beautifully made, a superb mounting, but that at its core, the production felt hollow and disappointing. People respected the craft, but the story left them cold.
But you know who wasn't torn? The original Cora. Lana Turner did not hold back. She said the remake's explicit scenes turned the whole thing into pornographic trash. And that one quote just perfectly sums up the culture clash, right? What one generation saw as gritty realism, the one before saw as just tasteless. So let's really dig into the character at the heart of all this, Cora. Because honestly, the way each film sees her is the key to unlocking everything else. She's not just a character, she is a mirror of her time.
The contrast is just night and day. Lana Turner's Cora is a bombshell driven by pure ambition. She plays her husband like a fiddle, and her sexuality is all about mystery and suggestion. Jessica Lange's Cora, though, starts off as this quiet, almost beaten-down wife. Her driver isn't ambition, it's this desperate, raw desire. and her sexuality isn't suggested. It is right there on the screen, raw and explicit.
And their own words really tell the whole story. The 1946 Cora says, "I want to be something." It's about climbing the ladder, achieving a twisted version of the American dream. She's a product of that post-war drive. But the 1981 Cora, she's all about primal need. It's just us. It's just you and me. It's not about the diner. It's about escaping into this all-consuming passion. It's ambition versus pure animal desire.
So what's the big takeaway here? Why does all this matter? Because these two movies aren't just remakes. They're telling the story of the very different times that made them. They're like these perfect cinematic time capsules.
The 1946 film is a snapshot of post-World War II America, all its anxieties, its changing gender roles, and of course, the heavy hand of the Hays Code. But the 1981 film is a completely different beast. It's pure new Hollywood, pessimistic, psychologically deep, and totally unafraid to show you the ugly, messy, passionate truth of its characters. Each one holds up a mirror to its own time.
So at the end of the day, even though they follow the exact same plot, they're telling two fundamentally different stories about what drives people to do terrible things. Is it the cold, calculated ambition for a better life? Or is it the wild, uncontrollable heat of passion that sends us flying off the rails? And that really leaves us with a big question to chew on, doesn't it? By telling the same dark story in two totally different ways, were these movies just holding up a mirror to the world as it was? Or were they actually helping to shape how we all think about things like ambition, desire, and morality? It's something to think about.